All right, I am recording. We're going to pick up on we went through the Day of Atonement, and now we're going to the Feast of Booths or Tabernacles. The Feast of Tabernacles, so, which is Sukkot or Sukkot. Sukkot? Okay. Which is the Feast of the Tabernacles, not the Tabernacles. The Feast of Tabernacles. Leviticus 23. We only have two more after this, and we've completed the feast. Leviticus 23. And if someone could read verses 26 to 32. Leviticus 20, chapter 23, verse 26 to the end. Leviticus 23, verses 26 to 32. And 26 to 32 to the end.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be an holy convocation.
I'm sorry, 33 to Leviticus 23. Sorry, because that was the Day of Atonement. It's Leviticus 23, verse 33 to, yes, 33. Starting, I'll stop you. We're going to 43, but I'll stop you between. Go ahead.
Okay. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of tabernacles for 7 days.
Okay, so stop. So all of this is Tishrei. So the first one was the trumpets, where the trumpets would sound, and that would be Rosh Hashanah, which is their civil new year. After Rosh Hashanah comes the Day of Atonement, or the day in which the sins would be forgiven, which would be the 10th day. And then the Feast of Tabernacle, or shelters, or booths, would be the 15th. So basically, we're looking at a span of a half a month so far, from the 1st to the 15th. Okay, so go ahead.
For 7 days unto the Lord. On the first day shall it be an holy convocation. He shall do no servile work therein. 7 days shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Okay, so from the 15th, let's count. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So the Feast of Tabernacles is actually 7 days long, from the 15th of Tishrei to the 22nd of Tishrei, which is around September or October. I just want to make sure that we get this, okay? But go ahead.
7 days shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto the Lord, and he shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocation, to offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offering, everything upon the day. Excuse me. Remind me to ask a question about this convocation because I still a lot of churches talk about this convocation.
It's not the same convocation.
Are you-
It's not the same convocation.
you
No.
understand?
No.
Okay. Beside the Sabbaths of the Lord, and beside your gift, and beside all your vows, and beside all your free will offerings, which ye give unto the Lord. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye shall gather in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath.
Mm.
Oh, boy. And ye shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm, and boughs of fig trees, and willows of the brook. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days. And ye shall keep it a feast unto the Lord 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generation.
How many of these feasts God said it will be forever? Or it will be permanent?
7 days.
Huh?
7
No,
days.
how many of these feasts, no, the feasts, how many of them did God say that, okay, you want to do this forever? Or it will be a permanent remembrance. Keep on doing this. So far from what we've learned, he basically said, don't stop this.
You can still do it.
Yes, yes, and no. Because remember, huh? Yeah, remember that when it comes to the certain things, they're the Orthodox. There are different people who practice different things, just like Christianity. And there's a group of people who try to hold to it, but you really need to follow it according to how God has it written out. And they're not always able to. But go ahead. Yeah, what verse are you on?
I'm down now to 42.
Okay.
Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths.
Keep on.
That your generation may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths. When I brought them out of the land of Egypt, I am the Lord your God. And Moses declared unto the children of Israel the feast of the Lord.
Okay. There's a lot wrapped into this one feast. But the way that I would summarize it is this. Remember that I'm the God of provision. And I'm your shelter. And so when people are in slavery, or when they were in slavery, they did not live in a permanent establishment. So he's like, no, I'm the one who's going to provide shelter. The tabernacle, we know, was mobile at one point, but then it was established. Ultimately, God wants a place where we're established. And out of all of these feasts, he does not want people to just do it and then stop. Do it and then stop. It's like, no, this word it's going to be with you and your generation and the generation to follow, and it's going to be a permanent remembrance. How many things we do now and then 5 years later, it's like, I don't do that no more. What did you say?
I was just laughing.
Yeah, there's things that we start and finish, and God is saying, no, when I start a thing, I need it.
Yeah.
So it says, verse 41, you must observe the seventh day festival to the Lord every year. This is a permanent law for you, and it must be kept by all future generations. He didn't say it was a suggestion. No, this is why I thank God for Jesus.
Because I am then I remember their teacher wanted to get the circumcision.
Yeah.
Paul,
Yeah. Yeah. But here's the thing to remember also, that there are a lot of people who are non-Jews who follow along the principle, and God extended to them. It's like, no, those, not only you, but those in your household, your servants, your this, your that. Okay. Okay, so
Like in Graham's household, everybody had to
everybody. So it is Jew, Gentile, in, out, you in this house, you gonna follow these rules. That's basically what God's like, you in my house, you gonna follow my rules. And you gonna do it forever, as long as you live. Right, Mr. Sharon?
That's right, that's right.
Tell Shiloh he's in your house, he better follow your rules, right? But the backyard is his, though.
Let's not go there.
Okay. Okay. So this feast is known as the Festival of Tabernacle, and it is a week-long celebration of the fall harvest and a time to build booths. Which these booths were, we know, they didn't always have those permanent shelters. So have you guys seen the picture of the tabernacle? And it looked, yeah, that sometimes it looked like it's made out of cloth or some type of material. Well, there, yeah. Mm-hmm. They could put it back up easily.
Right, they have their own.
Mhm. Yeah, at different points, right? But then you see, in this regard, these were branches, and they're looking more like huts, and they call them booths or shelter, more like wooden structures, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They're to remember how the Hebrew people lived under God's care during their 40 years in the wilderness. According to Nehemiah 8, verse 14 through 17. Nehemiah 8. Nehemiah 8, verse 14 to 17. 14 to 17.
What book?
Nehemiah.
Oh. Oh.
Nehemiah what?
8,
Eight.
verse 14 to 17.
Festival shelters. As they studied the law, they discovered that the Lord had commanded to Moses that the Israelites should live in shelters during the festival held that month. He had said that a proclamation should be made throughout their towns and in Jerusalem, telling the people to go to the hills to get branches from the olive, wild olive, myrtle, palm, and other trees. They were to use these branches to make shelters in which they would live during the festival as prescribed in the law.
So, Pastor, how do you, it said, as they did what? That first,
They were to use
no, the first verse, verse 14.
as they studied
As they studied the
the
law,
law.
right? What does that mean? If they found out by studying the law that that needs to be done, that means they weren't doing it. Right? Right, Minister Sharon?
They might need a refresher.
Yeah, they weren't doing it. So as they studied the law, that's when they realized, oh, God said we should do this. Yeah, let's go get some branches and make some shelters. So is it a bad thing? Is it a bad thing to find out the word says something and then walk in it? No, because if you've not been walking according to the will or the purpose of God, today is the right day to start, right? So as they were studying, and there are times where people don't go to Bible study, they listen to a lot of encouraging preaching, not realizing preaching is for the masses. And those messages are usually for the masses. However, Bible study and learning and knowing the word so you could live by the word is so key.
Yeah.
Do we live
Yes.
by this Old Testament? No. Do I want to live by this Old Testament? No. But what?
Still the law that
Huh? Yeah, no, this is not, but at the same time, it lets you appreciate the work of the cross. That does not take away the need to rest. Because Jesus died on the cross and saved us from our sin does not mean that we should not have rest. Does not mean we shouldn't celebrate. Does not mean we shouldn't come together. Because all of these things, it's like, well, Jesus did it. We don't have to do this anymore. It's no longer a matter of out of duty, but out of love. And
True.
this new commandment I give to you, that love for God is what keeps us holding on to his word. That love for God is what keeps us putting him first. That love for God is what keeps us with loving our brother. The celebration is a reminder of God's faithfulness and protection. And I mentioned that earlier. Repeat that, the name of it, Mama Jackson. Sukkot. The Jewish people, huh?
Can I ask a question? Nehemiah, what number is that?
Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 14 through 17.
Oh, the number we have 8 and 17 to 14. Verse 8 and
14 to 17.
okay. Yeah.
Jewish people continue to celebrate Sukkot by building and dwelling in temporary booths for 8 days. The 4 special plans used to cover the booth is outlined in Leviticus 23, verse 39 to 40, and we read that already. Now, as far as Jesus is concerned, 2 ceremonies were part of the last day of Sukkot. The great golden lampstands were put in the center of the temple courtyard, and people carried their torches and marched around the temple. Then set the light around the walls of the temple, indicating that the Messiah would be the light to the Gentiles. And that's according to Isaiah 49, verse 6. Can you read Isaiah 49? Huh?
He's the light to the Gentiles.
Yes.
Some of them still in darkness.
Isaiah 49, 6.
Messiah.
And he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth.
Ooh, woo, woo, woo. Why is it that we keep on hearing that the Gentiles were outside of God, but as we're studying the Bible, God has made provisions throughout for the Gentiles?
That's right.
You know, from the time of Abraham, he was making provisions for the Gentiles. Here, he's saying the same thing.
Yep.
So the Gentiles being ushered into the fold is not an afterthought, but it was from the foundation.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it would be
Yes, it did not happen only in the New Testament.
way back there.
Way back. Okay, so that was the first thing with the golden lampstand. The second thing is the priests carry water from the pool to the temple, symbolizing that when Messiah comes, the whole earth will know him as the waters cover the sea. Isaiah 11:9. Oh, there's a song that says water covers the sea. Yeah, I don't remember the song. It sounds like a Hillsong song.
Nothing will destroy all my holy mountains, for as the waters fill the sea, the earth will fill people who know the Lord.
Mm.
Wow.
Amen. Amen. Yes, 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 yes. Isn't that wonderful?
Oh, yes. the
When
knowledge of
Jesus
the Lord.
when Jesus attended the Feast of Tabernacles on the last day of the feast, he said, if anyone thirsts, let him come to me and drink. That's according to John 7:37. The next morning, while the torches were still burning, he said, I am the light of the world. So this is around Sukkot that he's saying, y'all with the light, I am the light. You going to be poured out, that's me. Sukkot represents the final harvest when all nations will share in the joy and the blessing of the kingdom of God.
John what?
That's a big.
John what?
Oh, that earlier one was John 7:37.
You broke up.
John 7:37.
Okay.
In the last day, that great day of Jesus stood and cried, if any man thirst, let him come unto me and drink.
No. And we're gonna look at Zechariah 14. And I don't think I go into Zechariah. I don't know if I've ever studied Zechariah. I've read Zechariah, but I don't think I've ever studied Zechariah.
Working on really was a by so again,
Yeah. I don't remember much about Zechariah. Okay, yeah. Okay, Zechariah 14, verse 16 through 19. Zechariah chapter 14, 16 through 19.
That's 16, 19.
Yes.
In the end, the enemies of Jerusalem who survived the plague will go up to Jerusalem each year to worship the King, the Lord of Heaven's armies, and to celebrate the festival of shelter. Any nation in the world that refuses to come to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of Heaven's armies, will have no rain. 16, 17,
Yes. And 19.
19. 18, 19.
Yes.
If the people of Judah refuse to attend the festival, the Lord will punish them with the same plague that he sends on the other nations who refuse to go. Egypt and the other nations will all be punished if they don't go to celebrate the festival of shelter.
Okay. So, did it say to the Jews who didn't celebrate? Or was it saying everybody?
Everybody.
Oh, Mama Jackson, say everybody for me.
Everybody.
I'm trying to get you to say everybody. Say everybody. I can't even say it.
Everybody.
Everybody going to that.
No.
Yeah, so that's the bottom when it comes to the kingdom of God. And when Messiah comes again, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess that Jesus is Lord to the glory of God. Yeah, so this is like awesome. Like, God, thank you for your truth and for your word and for it being evident. And we hear rumors and we see rumors of wars and actual wars, but there's a day coming where there's going to be no doubt that Jesus is Lord. So, the sukkah or the booth is a temporary shelter made out of wood or wooden canvas. The roof is made out of branches and leaves with enough open space to see the stars. It is decorated with flowers, leaves, fruits, vegetables. Many Jewish people erect booths on their lawns or their balcony and eat at least one meal a day in it. The lulav, made up of willow, palm, myrtle branch, is waved in all four directions, the north, the south, the east, the west, up and down, to symbolize that the presence of God is everywhere. And there's a lot of additional scriptures, but we'll close off there. And if you want to write these scriptures down for further study, I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Numbers 29.
Numbers?
Yes, Numbers 29, verses 12 through 40. Deuteronomy 16, verses 13 to 15. Ezra chapter 3, verse 4, and the entire book of John, chapter 7. So, John chapter 7. Yeah, chapter 7. I said book. Yeah, the entire chapter 7.
On the chapter,
No, chapter 7.
chapter 7.
Yes,
So that's John, John.
yes.
They have
Saint Jean.
and
Jacques.
chapter 7,
Yes,
the entire chapter.
yes. All right, what page are we on? So we're
180.
almost, okay, we're almost finished wrapping up with the feast, but we have some more time in the book. And as we're approaching some of the festivals this year, hopefully you'll be able to make the connection with what's happening. Okay, and we are on Genesis 40, right? Okay. All right, somebody without the King James. Because this is the whole chapter, so I want to make sure.
Joseph interprets the dream.
Mhm.
Is it our chapter?
Genesis chapter 40. Yes. Yeah, it's gonna be a mouthful.
Sometime later, Pharaoh's chief cupbearer, the chief baker, attended their royal master. Pharaoh became angry with these two officials, and he put them in the prison where Joseph was, in place of the captain of the guard. They remained in prison for quite some time. The captain of the guard assigned them to Joseph, who looked after them. While they were in prison, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker each had a dream one night, and each dream had its own meaning. When Joseph saw them the next morning, he noticed that they looked upset. "Why do you look so worried today?" he asked. And they replied, "Both had dreams last night, but no one can tell us what they mean." "Interpreting dreams is God's business," Joseph replied. "Go ahead, tell me your dreams." So the cupbearer told Joseph his dream first. "In my dream," he said, "I saw a grapevine in front of me. The vine had 3 branches that began to bud and blossom, and soon it produced clusters of ripe grapes."
Excuse me, could you tell me what verse you're on?
11, on 11, Genesis 40, 11. Genesis 40, verse 11. "I was holding Pharaoh's wine cup in my hand, so I took the cluster of grapes and squeezed the juice into the cup. Then I placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand." "This is what the dream means," Joseph said. 3 branches represent 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift you up and restore you to your position of chief cupbearer. And please remember me and do me a favor. When things go well for you, mention me to Pharaoh so that he might let me out of this place. For I was kidnapped from my homeland, the land of the Hebrews, and now I am here in prison, but I did nothing to deserve it." When the chief baker saw that Joseph had given the first dream such a positive interpretation, he said to Joseph, "I had a dream too. In my dream, there were 3 baskets of white pastry stacked on my head. The top basket contained all kinds of pastries for Pharaoh, but the birds came to take them from the basket on my head. This is what the dream means," Joseph told him. "The 3 baskets also represent 3 days. 3 days from now, Pharaoh will lift you up and impale your body on a pole. The birds will come and peck away your flesh. Pharaoh's birthday came 3 days later, and he prepared a banquet for all his officials and staff. He summoned the chief cupbearer and chief baker to join the other officials. Then he restored the cupbearer to his former position, so he could again hand Pharaoh his cup. But Pharaoh impaled the chief baker, just as Joseph had predicted when he interpreted his dream. Pharaoh's chief cupbearer, however, forgot all about Joseph, never giving him another thought.
I know I've preached a message about that, so I won't go deep into it. But the one thing
I have not forgotten.
I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. God knows my name.
All right.
Yes, I mean, that was a good message too. but when somebody is looking out for themselves, they only need to answer for the right then and there. And he forgot. I mean, you were in jail, dude. You were in jail. This man helped you by notice Joseph said the interpretation came from God.
Yeah.
Joseph didn't say, I will interpret your dream. He said it comes from God.
Yeah.
And God gave him the interpretation. If something so miraculous happened in your life, how can you forget?
And especially when you saw the other person get impaled.
Yes!
That should have rang a bell. Oh,
I mean, this man was killed.
Joseph said that.
But remember when, I don't know if you guys remember, but when I was preaching, I was saying that more than likely there was a setup, because when the cupbearer, he was supposed to be a trusted official. Yeah. And by the time he gets thrown into prison, that means you're no longer trusted. And when people in leadership, they don't know who to trust, they actually toss both out.
Yeah. And
here is the case where it's like, I don't know if it's you or it's you, the cupbearer or the baker, somebody trying to kill me. And the only reason I know it had to be something where there was a conspiracy to kill Pharaoh is because of the end result. Both of them in jail, Pharaoh figures it out, and then one dies. Okay? Yeah. They could, yeah, they could.
Because God has planned.
Come on, mama.
And it's going to go through.
That's right.
When Judah,
Mm-hmm.
said Jesus will return to peace, but it has to be done.
Yeah, it has to be done.
And know that Joseph had to walk. The man was going to forget it, but God was going to make sure he remembers.
He said, I am not forgotten. That's right. So no matter what you're going through, as long as God is with you. Remember, we saw verse after verse after verse after verse after verse. God was with Joseph.
Yeah.
God was with Joseph. Yeah. God did not forget Joseph. I'm just showing the bracelet, y'all. Yes. Yes.
He was walking the road just like all of us. He got to walk the road and
that's right.
Move on and see trouble.
Amen. Yes. So, what two positions did the men imprisoned with Joseph hold? I just answered the question, but
the cupbearer and one the baker.
Oh, yeah, they had high positions. All right. If someone could read the next words.
The Bible or?
The scripture tells us in the book.
Oh, in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right here. Scripture tells us only that they offended the king of Egypt. A bad or the writing you from a solitary confinement. The positions of cupbearer and chief baker, they seem minor to us, but in reality, no one in Pharaoh's service require more trouble.
That's right.
Kings in ancient times had a continual fear of being poisoned. Right now, few kings are afraid of being poisoned. And something must have happened surrounding a meal that caused both positions to be suspected. A crucial piece of information is highlighted in verse 3.
Yes. So let's see what's in verse 3. And it says, and he put them in prison where Joseph was in the palace of Potiphar, the captain of the guard. So he locked them up over there where they're highly protected. That's like you have the county jail, then the state prison, and then you had the federal penitentiary. Yeah, so that was a high level thing. Now, whatever it was, it must have been bad. Okay, exactly where were Joseph, the cupbearer, and the baker held in custody? The house of the captain of the guard. Yeah, Potiphar. That's maximum security prison. Okay, let's look at 39, Genesis 39, verse 1. Now, when Joseph arrived in Egypt with the Ishmaelite traders, he was purchased by Potiphar, a member of the personal staff of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Potiphar was the captain of the palace guard. So, of all the people the Ishmaelites could have sold him to, they sold him. He must have been worth a lot. I never thought about that. Yeah, it is in God. He was like this. We got a good one. We're not just gonna sell him anywhere. He's going to Potiphar. Yes. Yeah. And I never really thought about that he was worthy enough to be sold to the captain of the guard. He wasn't just a regular slave. And they must have had some convincing, and Joseph must have been talking along the way to know that he was somebody of value.
This guy has knowledge.
Yeah.
So he could add that weapon to his father's house.
Yeah, so that tells you he was intelligent enough that the Ishmaelite traders say, okay, we're going to get big money for him. And when they went and sold him to Potiphar, Potiphar was like, yo, you really smart.
Yes.
In fact, look at you. You know so much and you're running all of this stuff. I'll let you have control of my household. But that just goes to show you that his dad prepared him for this position. It wasn't just happenstance. Yes, he was prepared for leadership. He was prepared for a position. Yes, and that's why they couldn't stand it. He was born for this. And all of these nuggets that just after a while we were reading and studying, I didn't get all of that. But now that we're looking back, I'm like, yes, this is yummy information. he was prepared for this. All right, we'll who was the captain of the guard? Okay. All right, go ahead and finish the last paragraph and then we'll close out for the night.
Beloved. But
Beloved, Potiphar wasn't called a captain of the guard. He was called a thief
Oh,
of the guard.
excuse me.
So you see the difference in the word?
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder what, yeah, he was called a thief, captain of the guard. The captain of the guard in both chapters, no doubt, is saying first, Genesis 39 and 20. Tells us this location was where the king's prisoners were confined. I'd like to suggest that Potiphar was never truly convinced of Joseph's guilt, or he would never again have placed his trust in making him responsible for all that was done there.
I agree. And I know we talked about that. I don't think Potiphar really thought that he was fully
He knew his wife.
yeah, I think he knew his wife. Yeah. Every time
She had one eye.
yes. she had wondering eyes, right?
Just wondering eye.
But Potiphar knew that man was gorgeous. Everybody knew he was gorgeous. All right. All right, Minister Sharon, can you close us out? Oh, one moment.